Good stuff, and I love the interactions with everybody in the comments, the phone calls, and the text messages. But I wanted to speak today on self-care. A lot of us are neglecting ourselves. A lot of us don't realize that if we don't take care of ourselves, bad things can happen. What I mean by that, well, we know what that is. Sickness, exhaustion, and we don't think about our loved ones, the people who are really, really, really in our corner. Let's just be real. If you were to leave tonight from this realm, from this level, from this existence, from this plane, well, guess what? There'll be a lot of people crying, hurt. And when they look back, they're going to realize, and this is for the people who are not taking care of themselves, that they didn't take care of themselves. And that's something that's very selfish, especially when you have people who depend on you. And whether they depend on you or not, they are emotionally vested in you. They care for you, they love you. And in this rat race of this modern day and age, there's always a push to do more, to get more. I'm sacrificing the now because I need this for the near future, so I'm gonna sacrifice my time with my family. I'm gonna sacrifice my downtime. I'm gonna sacrifice the time to really see where I stand physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so this is why I titled this a certain way, and it has to do with our cups. What do you mean cups? We have cups. Well, what's the purpose of a cup? The purpose of a cup is to fill it up. You can't hold stuff in your hand, liquid that you put, you could cup your hand and drink something with it, right? But a cup is more convenient. But the cups that I'm talking about are the cups of our makeup, the cups of what makes us us, and the different factions of us that each cup that's designated has to hold, like the cup of your emotions, the cup of your physical, the cup of your mental, the cup of your spiritual. Did I say spiritual already? Mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. I always throw emotional in there. Now, while I'm speaking about cups, it's not just each cup is separate, because it could be the physical, spiritual joining. It could be three things. It could be the spiritual, the physical, and the emotional. And maybe it's 20% emotional, 40% spiritual, and 40% mental. It could be mostly physical, that cup, or that joining of those different ingredients. So we have the separate categories that are held in each cup, but there's a blending of them all. And each one affects each one. That's what we don't understand. Each one affects each one. In Western medicine, we know that things are looked at separate. Oh, he has something wrong with his foot. Oh, he has something wrong with his heart. Something wrong with his brain. It's physical in Western medicine. But when do we look at things as a collective? Because you can, look, you ever see that man, or an example of a man that lived to 105 years old and he smoked a cigar every day, or he was a chain smoker all of his life? Well, why didn't he die early? I'm not saying to go out and do that. And then you have the person who keeps themselves fit, they're in the gym, they're eating a plant-based diet, maybe with a little animal protein, a little bit, but wherever you fall on the scale. gets his rest, gets his checkups, nothing wrong with his health, and one day he gets up and he drops dead. And they don't realize why he dropped dead. They don't realize it at all. So these factors are not written in stone. They're not. It's a combination of things that can do away with us. That man who dropped dead, who went to the gym, he might have had his heart broken. Not the physical heart, but the emotional and the mental. Maybe breaking up in a relationship that was near and dear to him, right? Maybe that man who lived to 105 years old and was a chain smoker or smoked all of these cigars. Well, guess what? He may have had a loving, supportive wife, a group, an inner circle of friends and family, grandchildren, children, great-grandchildren, and he had his meals cooked for him that were healthy. So the fact that he smoked was minimized because he had joy in his heart. And we don't realize how much these intangibles hold a place in our existence because we only see the physical. There's got to be more than just the physical. Again, it's the emotional, the mental, the spiritual with the physical. This is why you have to make sure that your cups are always filled to the brim. Do you go and pay bills from your account electronically and don't check to see if you have enough funds inside of it? No, you make sure that you have enough to cover your responsibilities and over, and you can pay. But many of us, what do? We give ourselves away to this frivolous person who made a dumb decision in their life over and over, and you keep supporting them. Support your people, but don't be afraid to speak truth to them. You can't be afraid. If this person, I'm just making something up, goes from one relationship to the next relationship, and this is a woman, let's just say it's a woman, I'm not beating up on women, but the men abuse her and manhandle her, put hands on her, bring diseases to her, makes babies out in the world on her, and he's a bum, sucking from her finances. And every time she goes and she says this is not going to happen again, and she meets a man that has all of the good words as they usually do to get in, and now she's crying again to you in the middle of the night. You got to sit her down and talk to her. You have to sit her down and say, hey, listen, it's not them it's you making the choice. You're making the choice. These are the choices that you're making. So I'm not going to say it this way, but in your mind, something's wrong with you. Now here you are, you'd be a fool after the second relationship, third relationship, fourth, and it's going to be all right. Don't worry, I'm your friend. I'm going to be here for you. Well, you're draining your cups. You're giving your emotional strength to this person who's leaning on you and draining on you and has no consideration for you. I'm not saying to be cold, but you have to protect your assets. Like in boxing, what do they say? Protect yourself at all times. Because you'll have people that come around like a hawk. You know the hawk is way up in the air flying, looking down for some prey. He's way up there, he can see so much. So you have these entities that don't want to take responsibility for their own life. So what do? They suck from you and they can see you from afar, that you're such a giving, loving person. And you can be a giving, loving person, but you have to be careful who you invest in. You can be the nicest person in the world, but if you go to the bank and want a loan of $500,000 $1 million to purchase a home. They don't look at your credit report and it's bleeding, it's bad. Low credit score, but you're a nice guy, so we're gonna give you this loan. It don't work that way. It doesn't work that way, trust and believe. So why are you the bank that gives credit to everybody? You won't make money that way. And again, this is not about money, but you won't keep yourself full. Keep yourself topped off. And there are some people who will come into your life, the only way that they will enjoy you is when they see you perpetually drained because they're sucking from your life force. If you seem to have too much energy for yourself, if you seem to be caring for yourself, if they can see that you're taking yourself out on dates, you have to do that. People say, what kind of mess is this? What, do you go home and play with yourself or something? No, I'm not talking about that. When's the last time you took yourself out on a date to do what it is that you want to do the way you want to do it? Even if you go out for a day and you say, you know what, I'm putting a little bit of money in my pocket. You might have to save up for it, you might have it. And I'm going to go to this restaurant and I'm going to sit there and enjoy the meal. It doesn't have to be that. It might be a walk along the beach. It might be where you get up, and this is what I used to do a lot in New York City. I used to put a little money in my pocket. It didn't have to be much because I knew where all the spots were that were affordable. I knew all the spots where I can go use the bathroom, I can get something to eat, whatever. And I would go out not knowing exactly where I'm going to go because in New York City there's so much to do. And I'd find myself at the end of the night, which usually ended in the wee hours of the morning if I didn't have to do anything the next day. And I was like, wow, I couldn't have planned this any better. And the rejuvenation, the sense of rejuvenation, and in the filling of my own individual and collective cups, you felt good. I'd have my headphones on, I'd play a little music, I'm taking my time. Oh, there's a bookstore over there. Let me just go in and see what they have on their shelves. I might come out with 2 or 3 books, right? I might not come out with anything, maybe a conversation with somebody who was there. You're in the same section of interest. And they're reading the book and you say, oh, I'm so sorry to bother you, but how is that book so far? And he goes, oh, it's a great read. I highly recommend it. I'm gonna buy it, but I've been coming here on my lunch break every day and just reading a chapter or 2. Wow. What's your name? Pleased to meet you. Are you really into this? Yes, I'm into this. What, really? Well, this is what I do. Here, take my number. Give me a call when you find anything out, or if you're doing anything along these lines. I would love to join you or attend the same event. We don't know how to be human anymore. We just have people who don't see us for our humanity, and they just want to swoop down on us when it seems like we have an abundance in our cups. That's sad. Sometimes they see you joyous, and just because you are, oh, I got to get something from him. What's up with him? It's almost like the beggar that hangs out by the ATM. You right there, you getting the money, and he see you getting it, and he's got his hand out. No, that's too premeditated. You ain't sucking from me. And I'm one of the most generous people you'd want to know. But you have to preserve yourself. The people who use you, the people who make sure that your cups are empty, are the ones who will feel as though it's a violation or you did something wrong just to put up a boundary. See, when you put up a boundary, they have no choice but to respect the boundary. If they calling you 11:30, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and you got to get up to go to work, or you have something to do, why are they doing this? Let them know. My phone gets cut off at 8 o'clock. And here they are calling you on a voicemail, talking about an emergency that they can't explain, just to keep you up. There are times I do live shows, And when I do a live show, there's certain individuals who start sending me all of these videos on my phone. They start calling me. Yeah. Some folks just want to get in the way of your flow. And ever since I cleaned house of these entities that are draining to your energy, and you do for you first, whoa, even now that with the construction and the running up and down, I've been a bit exhausted, but I know why. And I'm okay with that because these next few days, I'm gonna make sure to fill up my cups. But I'm the one who drained my cups purposely to push and make certain things happen for me. And I'm happy with the results. But when you're constantly drained and you look in your cups emotionally when you need an emotional boost, or to call somebody and say, hey, I need to talk. I got something going on, I need your advice. And they talk with you for 90 seconds, and then after that, they change the subject and it's all about that. Or there's somebody in your inner circle who is supposed to, it could be a relationship, or it is a relationship, but I mean significant other, a trusted friend or a family member who you're on that level. And sometimes they'll find a way to twist your stuff around. Like minimize your concern. But when they have a concern or an issue, or they want to stress about somebody else's situation, it's like they expect you to jump in with your stuff not done. You got to keep your cups full. Keep them full. Sometimes say they're empty when they're full, so nobody comes to take it away and drain you. Stop allowing yourself to be drained. It's just like a video I was looking at earlier, and several had this type of subject matter, and this was on a financial level. But when you have money in abundance, I'm not saying be cheap, but you can't go out here looking flamboyant, wearing all types of jewelry no, because you're going to attract these types of people because they think you have it that way. Rich people, it's best to blend in and look mediocre. Best to blend in and look mediocre. Let them see you clipping coupons. Am I getting tired? No, I'm all right. Little tongue twister. But let them see you clipping coupons in the supermarket checkout line. Let them see that. What's wrong with that? When you work yourself up to a certain point financially and you can live a certain way, you don't have to feel guilty about that. If they want to blow off their money on superficial foolishness to try to impress people out there that really don't care about them, let them do that, but you can't be their backup plan, right? And so folks will try to shame you sometime, and I spoke about money, but it could also be other things. You get around certain family members, and they want to shame you for not getting so caught up in family gossip and foolishness, right? It could be in-laws that will blame you for stuff that happened before you came into the picture, or make you the scapegoat because they see that you can see through their dysfunctions and the dark secrets. And you're like, wait a second, I see this, I see that. And they almost say, shh, we don't talk about these things in our family. Okay, you can have it your way, like Burger King. But don't even try to get in situations like that, no matter who it is, to try to heal other people. Help for those who want the help. I have many people who have helped me, and I've helped them. Not that I'm a doctor, not that it was anything physical, but just engaging with them because you see, you have life experience after a while. Oh boy, do I have life experience. And I know I'm going to get more. But one thing's for sure. For me, I see it this way. It's like the amortization chart on a mortgage. If you have a 30-year mortgage, you have the principal and you have the interest. And for those first 10, 15 years, you're paying nothing but interest. And the longer you go, it's more and more principal. So toward the end of that mortgage, you're paying more principal. And that's how they get over on you. You get a house, let's just say for $1 million. And it's a 30-year mortgage. And the first 15 years you pay on time, you pay on time. So you're like, this is half the time that the mortgage was set for, 30 years. So now 15 years, most people would think it's $1 million, so I should be $500,000 in. It doesn't work that way. You might be $50,000 in. Like, wait a second. I've been paying for 15 years, so it doesn't work that way. And that's the way it works with people. You will invest in them most of the time, but you didn't get to the principal. It's just the interest, which means you really haven't gotten anywhere with them, as they see you as a receptacle to be utilized to boost their life. You see what I mean? So, and again, I'm not on some bitter type stuff. I'm just telling it like it is. This is how it is. And certain people you're gonna have to cut off because all they do is come for the cups. Keep your cups empty. As soon as you start to build up a little bit in your cup, your emotional, your mental, your spiritual, your physical, here they come looking to take. That's all they do. They're takers. And when you get hip to them taking, guess what? They get angry with you. Why? Because they realize that the gig is up. The hustle of you is over. Self-care, maintenance. Because if you didn't do that, they wouldn't be able to take from you in the first place. And when something happens to you, I'm not wishing, when you get drained and you can't function, you won't see most of these people. You won't see them coming to fill your cup. Because these days, we're so much into, I gotta get mine, I gotta get this, it's out there, I gotta work, I gotta push, I gotta get. Oh, I can get from this one, this one, this one. Some people don't want to sacrifice. They want you to pay for their responsibilities, and some of them will tell you, I ain't paying you back. Some will do that. But when they're down and out now, and they think about who they can borrow from or get something from, they have to skip over your name on the list, and that's so funny. I said, damn, I messed up with him. I can't get nothing from him no more. You can't. You can't. It should be about our humanity and loving each other for who we are. But people will talk that. We can live together as one. We can live like family as long as you're giving me, as long as your cups are empty. Right? So this is why lots of times I feel we get sick, physically sick, because emotionally we're bound up. And like I said, Western medicine only looks at things on a physical level. They don't realize that emotional trauma can cause physical ailments. They don't realize mental issues can cause physical ailments, because it's all connected. It's all connected. When we're spiritually off and twisted in that way and need healing, it will affect the body. So many of you who don't take care of yourself that way, and I don't mean just the physical, but give yourself that gut check and say, hey, I need to get away for a while. I need to reclaim my life. I need to get all of these hands out of my pot. There are too many captains on this ship of my life, and something's wrong. So we got to shut it all down and be still and take time for yourself and try to figure out what it is that you want for your life. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't let anybody make you feel as though you have an obligation to another situation, some family, some other person, that you have to give up your right to maintain yourself. You have to draw the line. While many support President Donald Trump and many don't like him, one thing I will say, you have to build the wall. Like he wanted to put that wall between the United States and Mexico. Well, you need to put up a wall, whether it be physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, between you and the other people who will drain you. Try to confuse you, keep you in their mindset, keep you, no. You have your mind to yourself. You were born with your mind in your life, and it's up to you to decide how it goes. If people influence you on a positive level, or a way that you can receive something to enhance yours, fine. But ain't nobody supposed to be jumping behind the steering wheel in the vehicle of your life and taking it where it wants to go. And you sitting there like a passenger, having no say-so. You may say, I want to go here. They just ignore you and keep on going. No, you can't give up your energy that way. You can't. And I want to also say that even your sexual energy, you have to protect it. That's another cup also. It's a very powerful thing that affects every area of your life. I'm not going to stay too long on this because I don't want to make it just a sexual thing. And I'll keep it decent. But have you ever noticed, I'm not saying you're promiscuous or whatever, but have you ever noticed, whether it's in the present time or the old days, when you were out there a little more, whatever it may be, that every time you're with somebody, you know what I mean by with, every time you're with a new person, you feel, and if that person's not good for you, you feel a little exhaustion, you feel a little something taken away from you. And yes, it could be physical because of the release, but it's something else. Make you just want to lay down. You know what I mean? Your mind is fogged up a little bit. You can't think straight. And some people say, oh, it was because that was so good and you needed it. Some of these people out here, you don't need their energy imprinted into your life. And sometimes, and oftentimes, and most times, that's not good. You think it was because of the physical, yeah, you sleep a little bit, you cuddle, whatever. Days after, they have a direct line into your very being that's unseen. And you're connected and don't even realize it. They showed you the false self to get in, to do what they did. And it's not always where they're consciously thinking, I'm gonna get into her, or get into this person and take their energy. Leeches don't realize that they're leeches. They just know they have a hunger to get to your bloodstream. The flies, these bugs that land on stuff, they're buzzing around. What a tormented existence. If there is an afterlife or reincarnation, if that is true, some of these flies were some terrible people who are relegated to that life of always wanting to jump on something, having a hunger for something, just being tormented to the point where they hate that existence so much they want to annoy you and buzz around your ear. Mosquitoes and flies and all this stuff. What kind of life is that? But know that pretty much that's what they were, if reincarnation is true, right? But there's some people who are like flies. They're no different than flies. Always wanting to land on some sugar honey iced tea. S-H-I-T, feces, theoretical feces. Here they come with the theoretical feces of gossip. And you best believe when they're bringing you something, they're bringing your stuff to somebody else. And if you don't see it, you'll feel it, because the emotional cup will be empty. The mental cup will be empty. You're like, why do I feel so drained? It can happen in so many ways, sexual, or just people you associate with that put up a good face and they're looking at you like, yeah, I don't really like you, but I'm gonna use you. I can spot those a mile away. You know, there could be people around me that are close to me, and I tell them, you see that one? Oh, no, they're good people. No, they're good people. I'm like, listen, I've been around the block. I'm not gonna lie. In this lifetime, you won't even fill up really 5 fingers of the real good people who care for you. Maybe you get 10 or 15, I don't know. But you know what I'm talking about. If you have 1 or 2 good friends in this lifetime, you're doing very well. Because you have to sort through so much in the experiences, and after a while, you just say, okay, this ain't happening no more. To get into the inner circle club of my life, you know what? You're gonna have to work. Take time and get vetted. No rush. The guy on the street, when you're walking down a busy street where all the stores are on a Saturday and you're shopping, and some guy walks up and swings open his jacket and you have all these gold-looking chains. Notice I said gold-looking chains. And you say, well, I'll buy one. Let's just go into the pawn shop and let's validate that this is real gold or silver. No, man, you know, I gotta, well, look, if you can't take the time for that, I can't buy. Because chances are it's not real. These fly-by-night people that come into your life that just take from your cups. At the end of the day, you're drained, you're emptied out, you have nothing left, right? Again, it doesn't mean you can't help somebody. But dear Lord Jesus, we got to do better. Because sometimes, and oftentimes, the only tranquility we have is at home. And sometimes we don't even have that. Sometimes in our home, there's so much chaos that we have to sort out that a trip to the restroom is a place that we can have some type of solitude and peace. I know a person said, listen, my house is so off the chain, I go to the bathroom even when I don't have to go to the bathroom. You sitting on the toilet with your pants on, didn't even pull them down, boom, boom, boom. You in the bathroom? I gotta go real bad. You're like, oh God. Try to get some peace in your life. Try to keep your cups full and make sure those invisible agents that are draining you, right? That you banish them. You keep them at a distance. You might have 1 on your job or 2 on your job. You gotta go to work, but know how to keep them at a distance. Me, right now, I gotta say that I'm very isolated that way. It's hard to get my energy. I protect it like Fort Knox. It's like a bank vault. You're not breaking in this too easy. So if I'm exhausted like I've been in the last few days, it's because I took from my own cups. I borrowed from my own energy. And if I'm a little tired, which I'm not as bad as I was 2 or 3 days ago, but tonight, I'm gonna settle it. I'm gonna get a good sleep. And when I wake up, I'm gonna stay in the bed for 2 hours. I gotta go up and use the restroom, but I'm gonna lay there and luxuriate. And the phone will be off because I don't get up first thing in the morning and let me just check and scroll and look at what people do. I don't do that. Never did. It can wait. Protect your energy. Keep your cups full. Because you're the only one that's gonna fill it up. And when they're empty, you're the only one that's gonna feel it. I'm gonna end this right here because I can keep on going. I might make another one, might go live, I don't know. But drop in the comments the type of topics that you want me to speak about or we can do as a group. Doesn't matter, a lot is going on in my head. And the more and more I live this way where I don't have any drainage coming out of my life, and I protect that, you know, I gotta be centered. You have to be centered by all means possible. If it's something that your heart doesn't want to do, you don't feel to do, don't do it. And again, so what? You put up boundaries and folks get mad? Well, they didn't have a good feel for your life anyway. They always have to be in there and know what's going on. No. You have people like that you can freely tell. I have more than my fair share of real good people in my inner circle, right? And I'm blessed because of that, because the fraudulent ones who attempted to try to shut me down or throw me off or destroy my essence, I got some good ones that back me up. And I back myself up, right? So now I'm really flying clear. You know, the narcissistic entities and these people who want to steal your destiny, bye. You see it's quiet. I don't think you can hear the crickets that I hear and the bats that fly outside sometime and little animals and stuff, but that's all I have to hear when I'm up here, because it is total peace. And I have never, ever had so much peace in my atmosphere and protection, you know. And I always said this, everything in nature that's delicate has a hard shell around it or some means of protection around it. Look at an egg. Look at the nutrients in an egg. That's life force inside there. But guess what? It has a hard shell around it. So although in my home, I have a nice wall around, and I don't even see people. And behind this house, and I don't even hear anything outside unless I want to, right? But it's not just the physical, it's emotional, because some people try to play with you emotionally, mental, spiritual, but know that it's all interconnected. And if you have a weight on you of entities draining you on any of those levels or any combination, it's going to make you physically sick. Emotionally sick, spiritually sick, mentally sick, yeah. When you see people who have lost their mind walking down in the street, and you could tell by their behavior, they broke. Something broke them. It could be a combination of those different factors in their life. It could be people who are taking from them and not adding back. Lack of support. Or you think your life is going to go a certain way, or certain persons in your life, and you can trust them and they break that trust. It doesn't have to be one thing. It could even seem to be something small, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back. You see what I mean? So be careful, protect yourself. Protect yourself. Look, you can say, oh, in my neighborhood, we're all trustworthy. Well, take your jewelry box and take all your gold and your silver, your diamonds, and put it on the curb and go to sleep and see if it's still there in the morning time, right? For those of you who may have a wife, don't doubt that there are many of the people that you call friends that might be, I'd like to get with that and try you that way. There's so many ways. But it's not paranoia, it's just experience. And like I said, you have so many experiences in life, now it's time to start sharing it. Doesn't mean that everybody's life is going to go the same exact way. But here's a little tidbit here, here's a way of looking at this. It's like an old fighter. He can't fight like he used to. He might be 75 years old, but he can show the young fighter, say, hey man, I'm gonna show you this in slow motion, right? And you throw a little jab to the stomach of the opponent, he drops his guard, and you come back with a hook up top when his hands are down. Something simple like that. He can't execute it like he did when he was a younger fighter and a champion. But you can show and share these things in life. And this is why there are a lot of wise men and wise women. Age doesn't mean that you've accrued this great wisdom. Just because a person has gray hair doesn't mean they're smart. I've seen people that I've thought were full with wisdom and they bust out with something stupid. Like they're not on the level that I thought they were on, right? But when you do accrue certain amounts of wisdom, you have to share it. You just don't tell your kids, do this and don't do that. Explain to them why. Why? Share situations in your life that led you to this wisdom, right? So that way, when you tell it to them, they can absorb it better. And you can build the trust with them, because if you start from young and they say, well, you know, daddy was right. And they're 5 years old, 6 years old, and you keep staying right with them. That when you have to tell them something hard hitting when they're in their late teens or early 20s or 30s or whatever it may be, they know with your track record that he never lied to me. You see what I mean? I know I'm all over the place and I said I was gonna stop. I'm gonna end this right now. I might come with a different topic in a little while, but Like, share, and subscribe, all of that good stuff. And leave a comment. Let me know what you want me to talk about more on. And yeah, I'm enjoying myself. But tonight after this, I'm definitely going to get some good sleep. So salute to the brothers. Mwah. Much love to the sisters. Let's keep this thing going and keep it from the heart. I don't have to worry about AI. I'm a human being. I'm real. I'm me. AI can't copy my experiences and do it the way I do. They can take my voice, take my face, but they can't be me. We're seeing too much, and I get ready to go right now. Here I am starting up again. We're seeing too much of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and these AI videos that look like them and sound like them, but it's not them. But what about the kids or the youngsters who don't know these historic icons, and they start to do some funny stuff with this AI? And it's going to happen, right? So that might be what I talk about next. Anyway, much love to you all. Lancescurv out. It's always a pleasure. Peace.